Hi, boys and girls. It's Mrs. Batliner here with another story celebrating Black History Month. Today's story is a biography. So think for a moment, what is a biography? All right, first question, are biographies true or are they fake? Are they not true? Right, biographies are true. Okay, so this is a story, a true story about a golfer by the name of Charlie. And his real name is Charlie Sifford. Okay, and he's a golfer and he broke the color barrier in golf. So think for a moment, what do you think that means? Charlie positioned the golf club. Someone was coming. If anyone saw him, he'd be in trouble. He pulled back the club and swung. Then he ran to hide. So can you see the person in the background? Why do you think he would be in trouble? Why do you think he would be in trouble? Yeah, we'll have to see if we find out why he is in trouble. Charlie's ball soared pretty as a bird, piercing the blue sky at dusk. So those of you older students, if you're listening to this, remember, if Charlie's ball soared pretty as a bird, what kind of words are those? And what's being compared? Yep, it's a simile because you're using like or as, and the golf ball way up there is being compared to a bird that's flying. It wasn't the shot he wanted. He didn't have the time for the shot he wanted, but he grinned as his ball dove and raced on the green, skidding close to the hole. Thumb up if you've ever played golf. Yeah, my thumb is up, but I am not good at golf at all. From the moment he grasped a golf club, Charlie knew he was born to play. It wasn't long before he could strike the ball farther and truer than anyone on the course near his home in Charlotte, North Carolina. But it was the 1930s, and only white people were allowed to compete on the private green. So he was not allowed to play golf because of the color of his skin in the 1930s. You think that's fair? No, it's not fair. But in the 1930s, that's the way that people thought. So in those first couple pictures that we saw, he was not supposed to be there because of the color of his skin. So Charlie became a caddy. He lugged heavy bags of clubs while he dreamed of the day he could show off his shots for everyone to see. Okay, so we can use some inferencing skills and we can use some skills about exactly what a caddy is. Can a caddy play golf? So if you look at that second sentence there, he lugged heavy bags of clubs. So that's exactly what a caddy does. A caddy carries the golfer's golf club so that the golfer doesn't have to carry them. He studied how players gripped their clubs and when they straightened and bent their legs and elbows. When Charlie grew older, all that practice helped him win the tournaments Black players organized for themselves on public courses. Wow, that's a great illustration. Charlie wanted his shot at Professional Golfers Association of America tournaments too. But those tournaments were held in private clubs that only allowed white players. No one would give him a chance to play. So you see that sign? It says white only. So once again, because of the color of his skin, he was not allowed to participate. Then in 1947, he watched Jackie Robinson become the first black player in Major League Baseball. Fans taunted Jackie and told him to go back to the cotton fields. One of his teammates switched teams to avoid playing with him. But Jackie didn't quit or lose his temper. Quietly, yet powerfully, he helped his team win by out-hitting and outrunning every opponent. Within a year, Jackie's teammates and fans of every race cheered for him. Could Charlie do the same for golf? So last month, we talked about the word perseverance in our social emotional learning. So do you think that Jackie Robinson persevered? He did, because if you look at the sentences, but Jackie didn't quit or lose his temper. So he persevered and he persevered and he kept working and he kept getting better and he kept out hitting and outrunning. And because of that, look, he got on the Time magazine, which is a really important magazine. So Charlie was thinking, hey, if Jackie can do that for baseball, maybe Charlie could do it for golf. In 1948, over a round of golf, Charlie got a chance to ask Jackie Robinson himself. The baseball star thought about the question. It's going to be awfully tough, Charlie, Jackie said finally. He was right. On the golf courses where PGA tournaments were played, the players were white, the fans were white, and the sponsors were white. Only the caddies were black. Jackie's teammates came around when he proved his talent, but Charlie wouldn't have teammates. Golf is a one person against another. Let's see if Charlie perseveres. Thumbs up if you think Charlie will persevere. We'll have to see. Jackie warned Charlie that people would threaten him and call him ugly names. Charlie clenched his fist around his club. He wasn't sure he could stand that. But Jackie told him if he stayed calm and didn't give up, he could open the door for others. Nobody can do it but you, Jackie said. So remember, Jackie told him he had to be calm, he couldn't get mad, and he couldn't give up. He has to persevere. Long after Jackie left, Charlie thought about his words. It was going to be tough, but if nobody could do it but Charlie, then Charlie was going to have to do it. He put all his efforts into golfing, driving from New York to California and several states in between for tournaments. He became a pro, which meant that he was committed to earning his living from golf, even if in some years he didn't earn much money at all. He won the National Negro Open so many times they told him to keep the trophy. In 1957, he won $2,000 in a tournament, enough money to help him buy a house. Okay, so if you notice, he was not allowed in any white tournaments yet, only black tournaments where only black people played, and he kept winning and winning and winning and winning and winning. So he won so many times that the tournament directors, the people in charge, said, you just keep the trophy. But no matter how well Charlie played, he couldn't get his chance at the big PGA tournaments. That's because the PGA had a Caucasian-only clause in their constitution, which said their members had to be white. Is that fair? America was slowly tearing down the walls that kept people apart. Jackie broke the color barrier in Major League Baseball in 1947. Earl Lloyd did the same for the National Basketball Association in 1950. A Supreme Court decision led to the integration of public schools in 1954. But in 1959, the Caucasian-only clause remained in golf. But Charlie couldn't figure out a way to change it. So remember, in the late 40s and then the 50s, things started to change legally, where Black people were allowed to play basketball and play baseball. But that book, that law, still said only white people can golf. Fair? No, I don't think so. One day, he picked up the New York Post and read a powerful column about how the PGA should let Charlie play. It was written by Jackie Robinson. People started buzzing about what Jackie said. Suddenly, Charlie felt hopeful. In the fall of 1959, Charlie played a man who wasn't a good golfer. But Stanley Mosk was a good lawyer and a good man. They were playing at the Hillcrest Country Club in Los Angeles, where Jewish golfers like Stanley had built their own club years ago when they hadn't been welcome anywhere else. Stanley whistled at Charlie's shots as they flew by, skittered and sank into cups. He asked Charlie why one of the best golfers he'd ever seen wasn't playing on the PGA Tour. Because of this Caucasian clause in their constitution, Charlie told him. So not only were Black people not allowed to play, but people that were Jewish. Some people are Italian, some people are Hispanic, some people are Puerto Rican, and some people are Jewish. They were not allowed to play on those golf courses either. So they just said, hey, we're going to make our own golf course. And that's why Charlie was allowed to play on that course that day. You mean to tell me they actually have that written down as a rule? Stanley, who was not only a lawyer, but the Attorney General of California, couldn't believe how unfair that was. He promised Charlie he'd fight for his right to play. It took 2 years of letters and arguments with the PGA, but Stanley's efforts got the Caucasian-only clause removed in 1961. Charlie became the first Black player on the PGA Tour. So finally, after all those years, that clause was taken out of the golf course's constitution. Those are like the laws. And so now he was able to play. Still, Charlie's battles weren't over. Hotels where other players stayed wouldn't rent him a room. Clubs where the tournaments were held wouldn't let him eat with the other players, change in their locker rooms, or use their bathrooms. Once, a stranger called him and said, "You better not bring yourself to our golf course if you know what's good for you." Another time, when he went to putt his ball, someone kicked it far away. So even though he was allowed to be on the golf courses, people were still mad. So the hotels where people slept, they said, "Nope, you can't sleep here because you're Black." Somebody else said, "You better not show up here because you're Black." Somebody else kicked his ball because he was Black. Is that fair? Do you think that Stanley left and quit and said, forget it? I don't think so. I think what's that word again? I think he persevered. Charlie kept going. He practiced his swing. He studied courses to figure out the right club and angle for each shot. And he tried to close his ears to the jeers of people who didn't want him there. Look at how angry the crowd is. But Charlie persevered. Then, 6 years after Charlie had joined the PGA Tour, he noticed something different about the crowd at a tournament in Hartford, Connecticut. So remember, this is 6 years later. For the first time, no one was rooting against him. Swing, putt, sink. Hole by hole, he kept advancing. On the final hole, Charlie positioned the golf club. But Charlie rushed the way he had long ago when someone was about to chase him away. So look, it took him 6 years from the first time that he went with the white players until 6 years later before people didn't start yelling at him and screaming at him and jeering at him. It took a lot of perseverance on his part. Thunk! The ball fell down, down, down into a sand trap. It would be a tough, if not impossible, shot. To Charlie's surprise, he heard encouraging murmurs. The crowd wanted him to win. They believed he could win. Suddenly, Charlie believed too. He took out his wedge, closed his eyes, and swoosh. This time, the ball flew high, fluttered, and landed softly 4 feet from the cup. He putted. Clink! The crowd roared and clapped for 15 minutes. Charlie wiped his wet eyes. He won $20,000. It felt like $1 million. Charlie did it. He opened a door for others. Now Charlie played golf the way he dreamed since he was little, showing off his shots for all to see. And now it was possible for everyone who loved the game to play and hear cheers from the crowd. So here's some author's notes. Charlie Luther Sifford waged a long, lonely fight to become the first black man to break the color barrier in the Professional Golfers Association of America in 1960. Sifford was born in Charlotte, North Carolina on June 2, 1922. In 1946, he married his wife Rose, and together they had 2 sons, Charles Jr. and Craig. Throughout more than 50 years of marriage, Rose supported Sifford's dream of playing golf professionally, even when it seemed improbable to others, and kept him away from home for long stretches of time. Before Sifford played on the PGA Tour, he won the United Golf Association's National Negro Open so many times, from 1952 to 1956, and again in 1960, they told him to keep the trophy. He was the first black man inducted into the World Golf Hall of Fame in 2004. Jackie Robinson, who broke the color barrier in Major League Baseball in 1947, was an inspiration, a friend, and an advocate for Sifford, going so far as to write a column for the New York Post urging the PGA to allow Sifford to join. Stanley Mosk, then Attorney General of California and later Associate Justice of the California Supreme Court, was another ally, a fierce defender of civil rights who became a good friend of Sifford's. Mosk argued Sifford's discrimination case against the PGA and won. Once Sifford had his PGA card, it took several years to get the crowd on his side, but he did it, finally, at the Greater Hartfield Open, which he won in 1967. It was his first PGA Tour win, followed by wins at the Los Angeles Open in 1969 and the Senior PGA Championship in 1975. Tiger Woods, one of the most successful golfers of all time, has credited Sifford for making his career possible, saying that without Sifford, he probably wouldn't have even picked up the game of golf. Sifford received an honorary doctorate from the University of St. Andrews. In 2011, the Revolution Park Golf Course in Charlotte, North Carolina, where he had so much trouble finding a place to play golf growing up, was renamed the Dr. Charles L. Sifford Golf Course at Revolution Park. In 2014, President Barack Obama awarded Sifford the Presidential Medal of Freedom. So if this is not a great story of perseverance, and if you believe in yourself and want to do something, it doesn't matter what people say. You continue to persevere and continue to work hard, and you can do anything you want. Older students, if you look at this, this is an example of a timeline. So when you do social studies and you have different timelines of different things that happened, here is the timeline of Charlie Sifford. And if you look in 2015, which was not so very long ago, he died on February 3rd, which, believe it or not, is exactly the day that I am reading this story. And he was 92 years old. So today, if Charlie Sifford was still alive, he would be exactly 100 years old today. And isn't that crazy? Because today is the 100th day of school. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. I will see you the next time.